Yep.
Marissa's out there right now with her.
The girls are out there.
The girls are out there.
They're out there talking and holding
babies.
Talking babies.
Yeah. So,
CHAD TOWNSEND.
What a great kick.
Robin CHAD TOWNSEnd plays on. Plays to the whistle. Kicks away for Valentine Holmes. Penalty again.
Wow.
CHAD TOWNSEnd.
Yeah, boy. We back, baby.
We're back, baby.
We're back. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And for everyone who's out there listening, I've actually decided to change the podcast. So we no longer Talk of the Town podcast. I have renamed the show to the CHAD TOWNSEND Show. Same vibe, new name, same energy. And I'm going to bring in my first guest of the 2020 off season, Shaun Johnson. Thanks for coming on the show, Brazzy.
Nah, all good, brother. All good.
Mate, what has been happening? The leg, how is it? Give me an update.
Yeah, the leg is it's going all right, bro. To be honest, so I was in a cast for a couple of weeks post surgery.
Yep.
And that was a little bit of a punish, I must admit. It started to wear very thin on me. But now that I'm in the moon boot, I've sort of been given like this new lease on life. You know, it's sort of comfy. I can take it off. I don't have to sleep with it. So 4 weeks to go in the moon boot, and then pretty much out of it, learning to walk again in a slow progress. Through the back end of the year.
So, I mean, what actually happened? Talk me through, when you felt it during the game. Obviously, it looked bad on TV or when we were watching, but talk me through, how you felt leading up to the incident.
Yeah, so since I actually busted my ankle a few years ago, I've actually had a bit of tendonitis in my right Achilles. I think maybe compensating, overloading it a little bit. And it's been manageable. Done a lot of prehab, a lot of rehab on that side and getting extra strength work into it. But, over sort of maybe the last 6 weeks, it sort of started to flare up a little bit and, was starting to bother me a bit. But, I've had that before and I never thought, in my wildest dreams that it was going to, I guess, snap on me.
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, it just went, And I remember going to catch the ball, and just before I caught the ball, I had a look up and I really liked what I saw in front of me. And I got really excited. So I went to sort of do a little goosey and, get into my stride, and that's just when it went pop. So it's funny. Doing my Achilles and snapping my Achilles has probably been the injury in the back of my mind my whole career, or certainly the last few years since I've had that tendonitis that I really haven't wanted to do. It's sort of been
said that to me actually.
It's been the one that sort of scared me. People talk about touch wood, ACLs and other injuries, but mine was always sort of my Achilles. So when it happened, it's like I knew it was my Achilles. I didn't look around to think what was that. It was like, oh, that felt strange, but I know it's my Achilles. So yeah, man, not ideal, but hey, it is what it is, and I just got to get on with things.
Yeah, sweet. So when are you aiming to get back on the field? Because I'm assuming that next year's competition starts on time with everything that's happened this year. But, yeah, when can we expect you back on the field?
Yeah, I think it is looking like it's probably going to start, on time.
Yep.
And if that is the case, I'll probably miss the first sort of 7 to 8 weeks, which is, it's going to be tough to sit there and, watch. But at the same time, it's certainly injury. I do not want to rush back.
Oh, 100%.
And, obviously I've really, put a lot of work into my body this year, and that's not going to change just for the sake of trying to get back. I'm already going to miss a bulk of the preseason, so I'm going to make sure I get enough, enough load under my belt before I come back and play next year.
And you mentioned to me, I think it might have been the week after you did it, that, having a look at comparables, people, athletes who have gone through Achilles injuries before, obviously the most notable around the world, like guys like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, etc. But, I think you mentioned to me, was it Darius Boyd? I think he came back from Achilles injury, sorry. And you're planning on maybe reaching out to a few people and sort of seeing what worked for them to maybe help your rehab?
Yeah, I definitely. It was, I guess, early on in those, first few days post, injury, you certainly wanting to gather as much information as you can, and just give yourself the best understanding on what's ahead. But I found, just talking to obviously the physios and the surgeon, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with where things are at.
Yep.
it's been awesome to hear stories of those players. In particular Darius Boyd, who came back at 5 months. Todd Carney, I think, had the same surgeon as I had. He came back at 6 months, and the time frame I've been given sort of 7 months. So,
Yep.
look, there won't be any pressure to race any sort of clock.
It's individualised, that
Yeah,
stuff too.
100%, bro. So I'll just do my best to, get through my work and make sure I'm feeling really confident with it.
Cool, man. All right. Well, that's a bit of an update on injury. Now, I want to move into something, probably the shining light of your season, the highlight of your year. Your wife and yourself have just brought into the world a little beautiful baby, Miller. Talk me through it, mate. How's she been at home now, settling into life as a father?
Yeah, bro. It's certainly the highlight of my life. Yeah, without a doubt. And I'm sure a lot of parents out there, yourself included, would agree that it is certainly a feeling you can't explain. And bro, if there's been one thing I've been able to take away from, I guess, this injury happening, it's all I've been able to do is sit on the couch and have Miller in my arms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And although it's put my wife under a bit of pressure in terms of making sure everything else was done around the house.
Yep.
The fact that I was able just to sit there and hold her and sort of do my best to take care of that area. It's been a blessing in disguise. She's changing every day, growing every day, and Marissa's out there right now with her.
The girls are out there.
The girls are out there.
They're out there talking and holding
babies.
Talking babies. Yeah.
So it's cool that now we're out of the bubble. We can get her in as many of our friends' hands and get her seeing the world.
So how has she changed your perspective on life, not only your football career, but like your life in general? Because this is something I talk about quite often, is when kids come into your life, it's like, hey, there is so much more to my life. I've got kids now. It does change your whole life's perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%, man. And I'd heard that before.
Until you've actually gone through it.
Then it was like she came along, and I remember, sitting, in our birthing ward, and I remember holding her, and I just looking at her, and it just literally felt like nothing else in the world mattered. And I was sort of getting to a space this year where I was really putting a lot of time into not worrying about opinions and outcomes, in terms of my footy. And if something didn't go right, especially earlier on in the year, I was under a bit of pressure. So I put a lot of work into that area. The reason I'm saying this is because Miller coming along sort of fast-tracked that all for me. It like echoed what I'd been trying to do. It was like looking at her, I was like, man, far out. Like literally nothing else matters anymore. I could go out there and be a dud. Everyone could call me a dud and call me whatever they want. I'll come home and I'll hold you and I'll look at you, and it will be completely irrelevant to everything that I've heard today and what's gone on before. So I fully understand it now, and feel very lucky to have her.
Yeah, mate, awesome. All right, move into a bit of footy talk. This season, 2020, been a crazy year. Talk me through it. Explain it to me. Like how can you explain what every NRL player, fan, coach, administration stuff has gone through this season? It's been one hell of a journey.
It has, man, and it's over the last few days and few weeks, I've had probably more time than I've liked to reflect on just literally every little detail, and things that you probably overlooked at the time, but you look back on now and go, far out, and every player, man, everyone involved with the game has had to sacrifice so much. And, I fully understand, that everyone in the world is going through similar, everyone's going through change. So it's been an awesome journey though. I've actually really enjoyed it. I don't know why. I've probably the fact that I've just been able to really bunker down. Like you speak about it all the time as footy players. Bunkering down and just having all your attention in. But this year when we went on that sort of break, we'd done the preseason, played 2 games, and we had to do another preseason. That was an opportunity for me to really attack that block, and I feel like that sort of set up my season. Really set up my season, and that's sort of the bit that I look at and I go, yeah, man, like I really enjoyed that period just to attack it. And
because you probably think, I feel that like players, I know I've heard it throughout the media and spoken about, more on a team level, with teams that sort of approach that break during the season, the best would come out the best. But I thought like individuals as well who would approach that break within the season the best, and like you spoke about, really attack it, get some work done, come back a better player, like it has shown the guys who have had good seasons this year have more than likely attacked that period of the break
Yeah.
with, great intent.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like for us now, it's a good little reminder, like going into our off season now, you look after yourself over this period.
Yeah.
And it's going to give yourself the best chance to, rip in start of next year as well. So, yeah, I think obviously a crazy experience all up, but, overall, obviously certain things in there weren't ideal from a personal level in terms of not being able to see family and stuff.
Yep.
Very big challenge for us, but, from a professional level, I really enjoyed that challenge, yeah.
So for you, I mean, I've seen you play a lot of footy. Watch you from different team, played 4 seasons together. And for me, this has been your most consistent year from round 1 to whenever your last game was. Why? What did you do different this year, you think, that you haven't done before? Was there one thing, or you just think it's just more the age, really comfortable with your game and know what you're expected to do?
I don't think it was I don't think it was one thing. You know what triggered it, bro? What triggered it was awards night last year. And what's that award? What's the award called you get for playing every game?
Iron Man.
Iron Man award, okay. And you got it last year, and a couple of other boys got it last year, right?
Yep.
And like without a lie, bro, I remember sitting there and I was like, by the way, this fella here got every award at the awards night last night, so it was a pretty boring night for the rest of us. But I sat there, and that award in particular stood out to me.
So for people who might not know, the Iron Man award is awarded to players at the Sharks who play every game throughout a season.
Yeah, and that was the award I looked at, and I was like, that's my goal. Like right there, I remember sitting there, I was like, that's what I'm going after next year, man. Okay. And obviously that was the outcome. And then I was just stripped it right back and said, okay, what's got to go in to this process to allow myself to give myself the best possible opportunity to achieve that award. And it wasn't just one thing. I can't say it was just one thing. Quickly, it was application. Like surrounding yourself with individuals that, like are like-minded, like yourself. Like you're a great example in terms of how to apply yourself at training. And extra work. So when I talk about extra work, you're constantly looking for ways to improve your game. You're sitting down with the coaches, the performance staff, you're getting feedback constantly, you're asking questions constantly.
Love that.
And then another one, which I had sort of maybe dropped off the last couple of seasons, was the mental side. And for me, that's probably the key pillar.
Ties it all in.
Dan Hazler, which I'm pretty sure you've had on your podcast.
Which I have,
He has unlocked me. I feel like that's the easiest way to describe it, because I had my body, which I was working on with everyone at the Sharks. Okay. And then early on in the season, there was a few games there which I struggled, and you remember I copped a bit of criticism. And I'm sitting there going,
hadn't fired a shot.
But for me, it was more like, I've got the body now. Like I'm strong.
But before you go on, I remember you saying that to me last year. I remember you saying to me, I know that if I get myself on the paddock and I play every game, I know what I can do. And I was like, that's what I want to hear. That's the confidence. That's the man.
So that's where I was coming from. So start of the year, it was like, okay, I've got my body right. I've done a great preseason. I'm feeling strong. I attacked that COVID break, come back feeling mint, but it's just not quite happening. That's when I started talking to Dan. I think it might have been round 6 or 7 maybe. Just before we went up there to play the Cowboys. And from that point on, I literally feel like he's just put the key in and just turned it and just unlocked the door for me. Like that's the easiest way to describe it. And I'm no massive like fuzzy skeptic fella. Okay, this was like real work, and it took time and effort to sit here and talk to you about it. And honest truth and discussions, man. Like allowing yourself to be vulnerable to criticism and feedback that you might not want to hear. But then also understanding when you're doing something well, celebrating it, and just pretty much piecing things together. So the work in my body, the physical stuff, that the club did really well to help me get.
I think, and sorry to jump in again, but that physical stuff, because I've seen how hard you worked on your body in the off season, and compare your strength from last year to this, especially like lower body strength, like the amount of the weight you would chuck on the bar with deadlift and squat this year, like that has to be a pillar which has helped you stay on the field.
100%. And you look at players like even like a Blake Brayley, okay?
Yeah.
Like and even yourself, you know, without being disrespectful, you look at you guys, okay, and you go, he's not the strongest person in the world. You know what I mean? But what does he do? He squats heavy and he deadlifts heavy.
Yeah.
Right? And you back me up. That's something that you've always prided yourself on, okay?
Definitely.
Blake's the same, man. I went and watched Blake bloody deadlift, and I was like, is he really lifting that?
So people who might not know, Blake Brayley's probably the smallest in our team. Let's
Yeah,
just
like
say he's 83.
Yeah, on it. That's giving
On a
him
good
something.
day.
Like he'd be very happy that we're saying he's that weight.
But like pound for pound, he's the strongest in our team.
Easy. And I walked in there, I was like, man, this guy plays every game. He's so durable. It's because look at the
There you
weight he's
go.
got on the bar right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just eye-opening for me. And yeah, like I said, you throw in the stuff with Dan Hazler and what he's been able to, you know, give me in terms of belief and trust in myself.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of, been the reason for my turnaround.
Do you think that that's, you know, speaking to Dan and someone like that is something that you'll continue to do, you know, for the rest of your career?
Yeah, 100%. And he's already asking me now that I've got this injury. He's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
That's sort of the mindset now. He's like, okay, like, yeah, you know, you had a good season, mate, you know,
Yeah.
and you deserve to be tapped on the
Yeah.
back, but hey, what's
What's
next now?
next? Yeah.
And I love that, you know what I
I
mean?
love that he keeps you accountable
Yeah,
to that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it gets you thinking and be like, all right, what's my next thing? My next thing now is my rehab for my
yeah,
injury. What do I need to do to get back even better than I was before? Like that's the challenge. And that's the thing that I think people who aren't in a professional environment, especially an elite athlete, like it's constantly challenge after challenge, adversity, setback, injury, form, suspension.
Yeah.
And then it's just, how do you rise up? How do you rise above it?
yeah. I don't think I don't think you'll ever be a player that would ever feel like they've fully arrived. You know what I mean?
No.
And just when you feel like you're starting to get there, you'll get ripped back with something. Hey,
Yes.
that's actually
Something will whack you in the face and be
And
like,
you'll
here
be
you
like,
go. This is another
all right,
challenge
get
for
back
you
there,
right
son.
now.
Yeah. So that's the joys of what we do.
Oh, and you wouldn't change it, would you?
Nah, bro.
All right. Well, this weekend's games, a few big ones. Obviously, a few pretty big clashes last week. You know, some few games. I really enjoyed the Roosters and Raiders game. And someone like yourself, I know you enjoy watching some big games. But we'll briefly chat about some of the games heading up into this weekend. Storm versus Raiders and the Penrith Panthers versus the Rabbitohs. Who wins it from here? Like, who are you picking?
It's hard to go past the teams that had that week off.
Yeah.
You know, so Storm and
100.
Panthers. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to sit here and say, yeah, they're going to lose. You know what I mean? But I'm excited because I think the two teams that could give them a real shake and a real crack and, you know, maybe cause an upset are the teams that they're going to be playing this week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I actually thought the Roosters were still the favourites, you know, even though they lost the Panthers week one and then heading into the game against the Raiders.
I thought there was still a chance in that game.
Yeah.
At the back there.
Yeah, well, like playing against, you know, like that, I sort of was just going off what I've played against. I thought they could, you know, still go all the way.
Yeah.
But the Raiders got them. So now I'm like, well, that's exciting, you know, because the
Yeah.
Raiders can throw the footy around and cause some ad-lib type footy against the Storm.
Yep.
And then you've got the Rabbitohs who are just firing at the moment, playing a Panther side, which have been firing all year. So I think the top four teams that left are the best. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I think what you said before was it's hard to go past the teams that have had that week off. And speaking on experience from having the week off, like
Yeah. Did you guys got the week off?
we got the week off in 16,
Yeah.
but in 18 we didn't. And in 18 we finished fourth. We played the Roosters, who were minor premiers. We lost. We just lost. And Louis had a chance to score and would have put us in front, but Latrell knocked the ball out. And anyway, we lost. The week after we played the Panthers, we won 21-20.
Yeah.
And then we were battered. We just had two big games. The following week, you play the Storm, who've had the week off. They're fresh. You know, we lost a number of players through injury that weren't, and just you fizzle out. Like
that's it,
you've ran your race.
Yeah, that's it.
But I think for me, the game that I'm really going to be enjoying watching is the Storm versus the Raiders game, because you briefly touched on it again. Was the Raiders, they attack so different to a lot of other teams in the competition, because we have team structure and we have players who throw nice passes and things like that. Where the Raiders, they challenge you with like competing.
Yep.
And kicks.
Yep.
And
unorthodox
off
style,
the cuff,
offload, second phase, and Storm historically love defending set piece. So you
Yeah.
get a team that comes in and throws a bit of ad lib, second face footy,
Definitely.
halves that will just take the line on when you least expect it in Williams and Wyden.
Yep.
It 100% changes it. So I think, yeah, and I don't know, is Munster going to be back?
I think he's going to be all right.
Is he going to be all right?
Which will be a big lift for them.
Yeah, so then him playing is massive too.
Yeah. And
So-
for me, people have asked me who I think is going to win from here on in, and I picked the Storm.
Storm, yeah.
I think the Storm, and they are why, and I'm like, well, they've got the best coach of all time.
Mhm.
He's undoubtedly the best coach of all time, in my opinion. And I think they've got the best player who's ever played the game. I think Cameron Smith,
Mhm.
you know, if he's fit, and I think if Munster plays, but this week's going to be the big test.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, facing the Raider sides who are unorthodox, it's going to be a huge challenge. And then, you know, we look over into the other game, the Panthers, who have won 16 games in a row.
Mm.
Like they've lost
just
one
rolling,
game. They've
eh,
lost one
bro?
game all
Imagine-
year, bro. And they've won.
I'd
lost,
say
one draw.
imagine what that feels like, but you bloody know your dog. Oh,
It's a good feeling. Not
Yeah.
losing the game for 4 months straight.
Oh,
Think about review. No review. Boys not doing review today. No, good
unreal,
game.
unreal. But with that, man, like the Rabbitohs will be rolling in
Yeah,
with
mate, they're
no
hot.
qualms, bro. They'll just
They're
be
hot.
like, you know what, let's just go out there and let's have a nudge, boys. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we got ourselves here. No one actually gave us a shot at getting here anyway.
Yeah.
And we're playing against a side that hasn't lost a game in 16 weeks. Who's
Yeah.
feeling the pressure?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So
And
that'll be
anything can
interesting.
happen. The thing I really enjoy watching, I know, you know, as I said before, you and I, we both like watch a lot of football. We analyze, we watch it from, you know, a kind of different eye.
We stand there and we break down the game to our wives who just sit on the couch. We sit there and we pause the game. We go, okay, babe, so this is why I was looking. This is what I was seeing. So a lot of people that don't know the game will think, why did he kick it here? But this is what I'm looking at. So they got to put up with us doing that, man.
100%. I
Oh.
remember it. So what Sean's talking about here is, I was watching some clips of some old highlights of our team, and anyway, I got the ball and I kicked it, and I was like, Dal, do you know why I kicked it in? She's like, oh no, it's just like a good kick. And I was like, oh well, you know, this is actually what happened. Well, the fullback was over here, so I kicked it here, get the ball back, and you know, the fullback's out of position.
Yeah.
That's why you kick. And she's like, oh, wouldn't have even known.
Yeah. It's so like refreshing, hey? Like they look at it so like blasé. Yeah.
100%.
And that's like Kayla too. Her being an athlete herself, a professional athlete.
Yeah.
She feels like there's some correlation sometimes.
Yeah.
She feels like she sees the game, you know. And I'm like, babe, come on.
Yeah.
Man. Like you don't see with this. You don't see what we're seeing. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's nice just to give her that little bit of insight.
Back quickly on the Rabbitohs Panthers game, I really have enjoyed what the Panthers have done with Cody Walker since they lost Latrell. Like Cody Walker's pretty much gone everywhere, and I feel like the connection he's got with Adam Reynolds, where Adam Reynolds will swing and get on the ball and do a lot of the ball playing and then pass out the back, and Cody Walker seems to have a ton of space at the moment. I feel like if he has a big game at those two,
Yeah.
especially with Damien Cook, I thought he was excellent on the weekend. He was the man of the match. Like that's going to be another cracker.
Yeah. 100%, bro. 100%.
All right, bros. Let's move into the next topic I had down here, which was social media.
Mhm.
Obviously, a massive topic, or not really a massive topic, but like a massive sort of engine in the world nowadays. And just quickly, what's your take on social media at the moment? You know, do you see it as a positive thing for society, a negative thing, or
Yeah, I view social media in itself as a positive thing. The only thing that turns it sometimes negative in a negative way is the consumer or the person using it.
Yeah.
We have the power, you know what I mean, and it only becomes negative if we want to abuse that and use it wrongly. So,
Yep.
I think social media is an awesome tool, and for many different reasons. Obviously, even like business these days, you can generate an earning out of it. It's another revenue stream for a lot of people now.
Yep.
But then obviously, just as equally as important, the organic sort of stream and relationship you can have with fans and the players and like-minded people around the world wherever you are, and just build those relationships as well. So I view it as a positive for sure.
And so do I. I always will try and use social media in a positive light. But one thing I would like to see, and I think now more than ever for players that come into the game, is they need education on social media, how to use it the right way, how to benefit themselves with it, but then also how to respond to people and there's a small minority of them who don't use it the right way.
Yeah.
And people will be out there to bring you down and write comments and DMs and all that. And every athlete goes through it. It's a part of being a professional athlete now that you're so accessible.
Yeah.
That people are going to try and bring you down. And I feel like our young kids that come into the game, they need some education on how to handle that.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't go astray, something like that. Like you get like there's help with in terms of looking after your finances.
Yep.
Well, hey, learning how to use social media is almost as equally as important, not from but from a mental point of view as well, because at some point over your career, and every player, I don't care, you're the best player in the world, is going to go through some sort of backlash from it.
Yep.
And with how you respond to that is what's really important. So, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a really good topic. I wouldn't be surprised that if over the next season or two we start to see something controlled like that. Because you see people that do it really well, and then you see people that just have no filter and are just straight on it, like they would be having a discussion with their brother, or know what I mean, someone in house. So
definitely,
there's definitely levels to it.
Well, you and I, we obviously talk about social media quite often, and I want to talk about quickly an incident throughout the year. Obviously the Kevin Proctor biting incident, and obviously straight after the game, like Fox League are calling you over straight away. Shaun, can we get a comment? That's all they wanted to talk about, and it's like they want to put you on the spot and ask you all these questions, so you provoke something where they can use as a headline straight away. And I remember the incident after the interview after the game, where you're really level-headed, spoke really well, and then throughout the week, I wanted to put something out there that was from your mouth, and you came over to me, and this is something we talk about quite regularly about. Does this sound all right? What do you think? I want to do this just to offer some advice and things like that. But I feel like some players are getting it, like you, myself, like speaking from your own words, you know what I mean? Not cutting out the middleman, so to speak. So, not letting Fox or Nine or someone like that twist the words, where you can put something in your own words. Yeah. Like, do you feel like that's the way forward for athletes now?
I really do. Like that's obviously something we've felt, pretty strongly about. And you see, Isaac and YKTR Sports
done an incredible job.
They echo it as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely believe that the way, I guess, we just backing up what we just said, like social media can be used in a bad way, is when people want to grab snippets of what you say and portray it in a different light. Yeah. And like there's nothing more organic than you saying what you need to say directly to the person that you need to say it to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was what I did, after the shoulder charge incident.
Yeah.
I was like, I had a few media interviews lined up, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to record. I'm just get my phone, and I'm just going to record myself. And you actually mentioned to me, you said to me, mate, just hold your phone, record yourself, and just speak from the heart. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I sent it to you. I said, bro, what do you think of this? And you post it straight away.
Yeah. Like it's more, like you think if you're a fan, right? And you want to feel like an engagement with someone, there's nothing better than that, right? Yep. That feeling. So when they're being authentic and genuine and speaking about whatever they're speaking about, you're going to feel more entitled to listen to it.
Yep.
Sometimes we can hype things up and, have the perfect camera set up with all this stuff. But sometimes it's best just to rip the phone out and just go, look, guys, genuine. Whether, I screwed up here, or this is me saying what I'm feeling on the situation. And with the Kevin Proctor stuff was, people were coming at me, calling me a dog, a grub, like, because he's one of my good mates, and he's a guy that I have so much respect for, that, and we created so many good memories together.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I needed to come out and be like, look, this is what happened at the moment in the heat of the battle.
Yep.
This is how I'm feeling about it now. You know what I mean? And yours was the same. Like, oh, CHAD TOWNSEND, bloody grub, da 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 da. His mullet has made him a madman. But really, you were just competing for your teammates. You know what I mean? Like, and it happens so quick that people forget. But what clears it up is you just coming out saying your bit. People can either believe it or not, but you know that I've said my piece. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And it was the same with me, man.
100%.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've started this year, and I'm a massive fan of, is vlogging. Talk me through it. How good is it?
No, bro, I'm
Boys give you a bit of shit about it. Give me a bit of shit about it. I don't know if they give you shit about it. which I don't care.
No, it's I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, vlogging is something that I've been interested in for a while.
Yep.
But it's more just being like, okay, you've got to learn. You got to learn how to
Learn the process.
You got to learn it. Like it's like anything. You got to apply yourself. You got to give itself time. So
yeah.
Again, when we got put into that COVID break, I thought, far out. If it's not going to happen now, when's it going to happen? So I had my training I ripped into, and then I'd come home, and that was sort of
document the journey.
That was sort of like my Arvo stuff where I'd learn,
Yeah.
and just apply myself mentally to something. So man, I'm loving it, and the feedback I've been having on it's been amazing, and I think I don't like to say my fans, but the people that follow me
Yep.
have certainly enjoyed just sort of connecting with me on a different sort of level, and yeah, like
I feel like it shows you as more of a human being, more
Yeah.
as a person, not just an athlete. That hey, I go through the same things that everyone else does, but I just I'm playing football on TV on the weekend.
yeah, that's
Like,
right.
we have children. We go through things that that the same
Yeah.
everyone else who doesn't play football goes through.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And like sometimes, I still get messages, more training vlogs, or you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, like
Yeah.
I train every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is more about like, hey, I just brought the camera along with me today. This is what I got up to.
Yeah, bit of behind the
Real,
scenes.
just like casual. Yeah. So it's
Some of my I'm a massive advocate for it. I love watching it, and I know it's awesome for fans. It's awesome to connect. Like yourself, you're doing a great job now. Like someone else who comes to mind, like Jordan Carr, who does an incredible job. He's so talented.
He's the bloody benchmark, that fella.
He definitely is.
Yeah, he's killing it.
I know that I think Kalen Ponga and Connor Watson were doing a little bit here
Doing
and
some
there.
cool stuff too.
But I just think the landscape of sport and social media in Australia has so much growth, so much more growth to go. Like I look at the US side of things and how they do stuff, like it's on another level. And I feel like we got a long way to go to getting there.
Yep.
But it's definitely
A part of it's the culture, too.
Definitely.
Like the American culture just supports everything they do. You know what I mean?
Like-
Like it's normal just to be out there and doing that stuff. We're here, sort of like, even
Yeah.
like you setting this up.
Yeah.
You're breaking that mold a little bit. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
definitely.
And other players, are breaking that mold. I'm helping break that mold. Just
100%.
normalizing it a little bit more,
Definitely.
making people that just want to record some stuff feel comfortable just to rip it out and be like, "Yo, what's up? Like
Yeah.
I'm around the boys right now."
100%.
So the culture over here has got a long way to go in that sense, but it does make it exciting, and I think more authentic that we're starting off here,
Yeah.
and that fans can see that, hey, like these guys are doing something to go
Yeah.
out of their way to give us access,
Yep.
right now, and I think that's the cool thing about it, eh?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that.
Like when you were coming through, who was your favorite player? Just top of your head.
When I was younger, it would have been Matt Rogers, ET.
Matt Rogers, okay. Say Matt
Yeah.
Rogers had something that could show you what he got up to on his day off.
Man, I would have watched it forever.
Froth today.
But that's what, and I'm sure you would have got this as well. Young kids will come up to me at a game saying, "Oh, Chad, I watched your vlog." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man. That's hectic."
Yeah,
Like,
well, I get that, and this is sort of what really triggered it. It was like, "Oh, Shaun, I've watched your touch highlights all the time." And I'm
Yeah.
like, so he watches other stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'll put something else out there. Hey, Shaun, I saw that vlog of you and Kayla playing basketball.
Yeah.
And put something else out there. Hey, Shaun, I saw that. It's going to come out maybe tonight or tomorrow. I saw a little bit of behind the scenes when you went into Matty John's show. You know what I mean? Like, just a different point of discussion, which is cool. Yeah.
So where can people find your vlogs? What's the where do we get it?
YouTube.
Yep.
I don't know. You just search Shaun Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Make sure you subscribe too.
yeah. So I don't really get all the subscribe. I just leave that. But if they want to subscribe, cool. And then in my Insta, I've got a link in my Insta bio as well. So pretty easy to
All
find.
right. We'll finish off a few questions here. Send it out on the story. If a few fans chuck a few questions in. First one's from @Angus.Harrison. One piece of advice you'd give to your 21-year-old self.
Oh, okay. This is a good question, man, because my 21-year-old self was playing in a grand final.
yeah.
So I would have told that fella, hey, bloody enjoy this moment because it's not going to happen. Well, it's a lot harder to happen than what you think your succeeding RL games has shown you, right? So I was saying, like, yeah, just live in the moment, eh? Just really absorb everything going on around you, because you're going to learn that it's not all up here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
love that.
There's low bits as well. So yeah, just enjoy yourself.
All right. Next one is from @King Hill. What was the best part about growing up in Auckland?
Oh man, what a city! Firstly, King Hill, what a city. like what I loved is I love coast. So where I grew up in Whangaparoa, there are lots of beaches, and then all along the coastline of Auckland, along the harbour front there, lots of beaches as well. So I love the water. I love being around the coastline. So that's what I really enjoyed about Auckland.
Yeah, cool. All right. Next question is from Tristan Cannell, who asked, what you did for your mental health and wellness, but you already spoken about that with Dan. But also mentioned if we have to go back into another bubble, what changes, if any, would you make, or any necessary changes?
Oh man, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that.
It's quite hard.
Yeah, you know what? You probably get yourself, if you knew it was coming, you get yourself a bit better equipped, I'd say.
Yeah.
In terms of training, like you had a pretty good setup here with your weights and that.
Yeah.
See, I probably didn't really have a decent setup, so I'd make sure that that sort of side of things was a lot better. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Next one is from @BigMig81. SJRC was a humble, hardworking, easygoing guy, but all pro sports need some ego to get them to the next level. Throughout your career, has there ever been a game or a period of your career where you have thought, publicly or privately, that you are unstoppable? No defense can stop you.
Mate, that's a unreal question, isn't it? Really?
Because going back to what you said before, it's like if you were to say that, like no one can guard. It's like no one can guard me in basketball. We couldn't say that.
You just don't say that.
You're arrogant.
Yeah. You'd be look at that knob.
You're a dairy like Australia.
Yeah. Mate, awesome question. Thanks for sending that through. There has been.
Yeah.
And funnily enough,
this year
leading into my injury, I was feeling pretty. Not that no one can stop me, but I felt like I was sort of plays ahead.
Yeah.
And another time was before I broke my ankle in 2015.
Yeah, you were on a heater.
I was on then, man, but in a different way to how I was feeling this time around.
Yeah.
I was on in terms of I don't feel like anyone could stop me.
Yeah.
I was taking the line on.
Yeah.
Just seeing things so clearly, but now there's a bit more of a okay, I feel like I'm setting this up or turning this ball in because I know what I'm going to do on the next one type vibe, fifth play options, my kicking game. I felt like I knew exactly where I wanted to put the ball. I knew what kick I wanted to come up with, it was it was just all happening. So, awesome question. And to answer it in the simplest form, yes, I have.
Yeah. Hectic. All right, brothers, we'll leave it there, mate. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother. Always a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. And that's so new name, guys, the CHAD Townsend Show. You can subscribe to Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and you can also watch it on YouTube. Don't forget to check out Shaun's vlogs on his YouTube channel. His links in his bio on his Instagram. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Yeah.